So, every once in a while, we get these quips that aren't actually in the Bible that we love to pretend are in the Bible and try and feel better about what the Bible doesn't say about what's happening right now. God will never give you anything you can't handle. God will never give you more than you can handle. Look around. How's that going? See, that's not even the verse. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13 says, "No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape that you may be able to endure it." See, what that means isn't that God will never give you more than you can handle. It's that you should be better behaved during the pandemic. You should resist temptation. The problem is we're not. The problem is we actually need help. The problem is, even though we look around and we have a merciful God, we also have a whole lot more than we can handle. But that's because we're trying to do it ourselves. God will never give you more than he can handle, but he gives you more than you can handle, like every minute of every day. And one of the wonderful things is you can actually acknowledge this truth. I am overwhelmed by this. I am stressed by this. I am scared by this. But Christ is still risen from the dead. Christ, he has a handle on this, even if I have no idea what's going on. When you want to hold on to simple little quips that aren't actually in the Bible because they make the world seem a little bit more palatable, the problem is you have to start ignoring parts of the world. The problem is that you have to start pretending that you have some idea what's going on, and that just means that little voice inside you that's crying out, "Help, God, help," you actually want to start to quiet it and say, "Me, God, me." Anything that's pointing you away from God's help and, well, towards self-help, it's not godly. It's just not. That doesn't mean just give up and God will float a vaccine in front of you. But that means that even when you are overwhelmed, you can go out into this world knowing full well that your Lord is working in here. So try to love your neighbor, but rejoice in the fact that even when we fall to temptations, which we should have avoided, even when we have no idea what's going on, even every minute of every day that I have more than I can handle heaped upon my plate, Christ has still got this whole thing under control. Relax and let Christ be the star of his own show, and all of a sudden then the Bible actually becomes a book about peace, a book about mercy, a book about hope, rather than just sort of a you should be better at your job, so stop whining kind of thing. Because that's how we always use this thing, right? God will never give you more than you can handle, so why are you whining to me? Go out there and try again. Stop. Recognize that there's plenty of room for lamentation in the scriptures. Recognize that the difference between complaining and lamenting is just whether or not you're actually looking to God for hope. See, complaint's like vomiting. We just sort of spew it all over the place, and it makes us feel better, but it makes everybody else around us who had to bear witness to it feel a whole lot worse. It's not directed toward God. It's just, why aren't things better? Lament, though. Lament is actually a good and godly thing. Lament is actually going to God in hope and actually saying, "You promised to take care of me. Why am I not seeing that?" Lament is a wonderful thing because it actually expects good from the God who promises it. And here we can actually say then, "Lord, I am completely overwhelmed. Lord, how long will you forget me forever?" That's the 13th Psalm, by the way. When we talk about the things that are wrong in this world, and we're actually willing to find a God who has promised to help us, and then a God who has answered this help through his death upon the cross, through his resurrection from the dead, through his promise to bear with us through tough times in his word and his sacraments and our baptism, then we can lament instead of just complain. Instead of just spreading around misery and then trying to hush each other up because it doesn't actually fix anything, we can go to God and say, "Lord, you have promised to help us." But then we can turn to his word and find out that he already has. That none of these things they're going on right now, none of them are bigger than what he can handle. And in fact, he's already conquered them, for he's risen from the dead. So be at peace.